Hey guys, I am so sorry about that. All right, what's up, y'all? My name's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery addiction and I share my life with you. So tonight I want to talk to you guys about relapse and the warning signs that you can start being aware of and be ready, okay? Because sometimes these things happen and we want to arm ourselves with the knowledge, right? We want to arm ourselves with the knowledge and the facts about our disease so that way we can properly fight back and not let addiction win. Okay, so relapse happens in our minds, okay? Relapse can happen many months before we ever pick up a drink or a drug. So first of all, you need to know that relapse happens in your mind. So write down, relapse happens in my mind, okay? And that relapse can happen months before we pick up. So there you know the timeline, months, or it can happen a year. I mean, it can happen a long time, months before we pick up. Okay, so now that we know that relapse happens in our minds, and then it can happen way before we ever drink or drug, now we need to start learning and identifying our triggers, okay? So, we know that the disease process goes like this. Trigger, thought, hey Tasha, trigger, thought, obsession, okay? So I'm writing all this down. I want you guys to get a piece of paper and a pencil because this is going to help you in the long run. I promise you. So we got relapse happens in our mind, and it can happen months before we ever drink or drug. Before we ever pick up the beer, the pill, the cocaine, whatever it is, the relapse can happen in our minds, right? It's almost like we're mentally preparing for it before we ever pick up the drink or the drug. Okay, now I want you guys to know the disease concept, okay, the disease process, okay? I'm going to show you what it is and we're going to write it down, okay? So write down on your paper, disease process, all right? And I'm going to explain it to you. So the first thing that happens in our minds with the disease of addiction is a trigger, okay? Maybe your trigger is you are driving down the road, right? And you see the liquor store. And that triggers a thought, okay? You say, oh, I remember that liquor store. I used to go there and get that fire-ass vodka. Or you see your homeboy standing on the side of the road selling that dope. Oh, there's my dope man. There's the dope boy, right? Oh, thought, okay? If we do not stop right there at the thought and get that shit out of our mind, pick up the phone, call somebody, go to a meeting, go to church. I don't care what you got to do. Play with your kids. Change your thought process, right? You're going this way towards the relapse and say skirt and go the other way, okay? So we got trigger, thought. Then if we do not stop it right there at thought, then we go into obsessing. So we got trigger, thought, obsession. This is the disease process, you guys. And if you can start identifying these things happening to you when they're happening, then you can start stopping this shit. I can be in a place and it will bring back a memory, and I feel like I'm going backwards in my mind, like I relive that time. Oh, yeah, totally in my mind, like I relive that time of day that I used to use. Girl, it is so strong, the euphoric recall. The recalling of the euphoria, the good times, euphoric recall. I remember this one time I was shooting up. I got so high, y'all, and I will never forget that one time. And I always go back to it. If it ever comes into my mind, hey, I want to get high on dope, I will always go to that high I felt, and I will remember it. So we got the trigger, we got the thought. Okay, if we don't stop at our thought, you guys, I'm telling you, if you're just thinking about it, you can stop it. You can turn it around, right? If you're just, you can call out, Lord, help me. whatever your higher power is. You can call your friend, girl, I am tripping. I'm thinking about getting high. Can you believe that? You can go to your sponsor's house. Sponsor. I'm thinking about getting high. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me, right? Trigger, thought. But what happens is we don't stop it at the thought. We sit there and we play with the idea, and then we start obsessing over it. We start obsessing to the point where we're thinking about how we want to get the drug, how we're going to get it, how we're going to use it, what we're going to do when we get it. Okay? So that's the trigger, thought, obsession. Then what happens after obsession? Then we use. So you got trigger, thought, obsession, use. A lot of people think that they're craving drugs when they're sober. Did you know that you can't crave something until you take it into your body? Okay, when you take it into your body, that sets that craving off. So as long as you don't pick up the first drink or the first drug, you can be all right. You can fight those thoughts. But it's that phenomenon of craving that we talked about in the doctor's opinion 3 weeks ago. That's what happens when we use. That craving goes, right? Hey, Nick. And it's like, once that phenomenon of craving is kicked, you guys, it's impossible almost for us to turn around and make a U-turn. Do you understand? Because we're in the middle of the disease right there. Okay? So, relapse happens in the mind. Hey, Katie. It can happen months before you ever pick up a drink or a drug. Okay? It starts out with a trigger, then a thought. Then you start obsessing over the thought, and then you use. Okay? Trigger, thought, obsession, use, craving. Okay? So craving is next. Then what happens is we go on a spree. It's a vicious cycle, right? And then when we go on our spree, we wake up remorseful. We wake up upset. We're disappointed in ourselves, kicking ourselves in the ass. How could I have relapsed? What was I thinking? Why didn't I stop, right? I'm here to tell you why you didn't stop. I'm here to tell you how you can identify what's happening so you can stop. So that way you don't go all the way. But I'm telling you guys, it's really difficult once you get past a certain point. Once you get past that thought and you're obsessing, you're plotting out the ways you're going to get the dope. You're already dialing the man's phone number to have him meet you at the McDonald's parking lot. Once you're there, it's like the grace of God has to come down on you and pull you out of that situation, okay? Because once you're there, your mind's made up, all right? So that's why I'm trying to teach you guys to start identifying your triggers and start seeing, okay, I'm triggered right now, and I'm just thinking that I don't have to act on these thoughts today. I could stop this right here. I have the power of choice today, y'all, because I'm sober. Right? I can think about popping a Xanax anytime I want to, but that doesn't mean I got to go do it. Right? Oh, Tiny, that's how it was for a lot of us. A lot of us, the sickness is what kept us going because we had to maintain. We had to maintain. And that's what our lives became. Our lives became just us maintaining. We weren't even living anymore. We weren't even thriving anymore. We were just barely making it, That's no way to live. And see, I didn't see that for a long time. I didn't realize, wow, I'm not even living anymore. I'm not even having a good time getting high. I'm just barely making it by. I'm just barely surviving, not being dope sick. Right? And then I started shooting meth and I started going crazy. So I'm dope sick and I'm crazy. Right? So, you guys, you can start identifying yourself wanting to slip back into old behavior. But this is what we have to start doing. We have to start working on being self-aware. Okay, we have to start working on accountability, being accountable to other people in recovery, not being mad when somebody says, hey, Tiny, I haven't seen you at a meeting lately. Or, hey, Annie, you haven't been over in Nicole's live streams lately. Are you okay? Instead of getting defensive and saying, yeah, I'm fine. Say, thank you so much for asking. This is what I've been doing, right? Or, no, I have been having a hard time. I haven't been showing up because I'm isolating and I'm pulling away because I've really been struggling with my recovery and I think I want to use. You know, what happens is we get this idea in our mind that we can do this on our own, right? We get this our idea in our mind that we don't have to tell anybody. And I'm here to tell you right now, that idea that you don't need to tell anybody, that is the disease of addiction. The disease of addiction tells me that I don't need to tell anybody, that I got this, that I don't have a disease, and that I don't need any help. The disease of addiction tells me that I can take just one Xanax and be okay. The disease of addiction tells me that I can smoke some crack with my friend out back and no one will ever know. Right? Thanks. That's what our addiction tells us, you guys. And I'm here to tell you that it's really easy, guys, to fall into this behavior where we make excuses for ourselves. Sometimes I get so stressed the hell out that I go into panic mode and I tend to find myself, lock myself in my room to drown out my racing thoughts. My racing thoughts are still here. You know what, Tasha? With your thoughts racing like that all the time, have you went to the doctor and talked about that? Because my sister had that same situation and she ended up being bipolar, girl. And I'm not trying to tell you you're bipolar, but I'm just telling you, like, my sister had the same situation going on. Like, she couldn't sleep at night because her mind was always on. That's exactly how she described it, was that her mind was always going. So, you might want to talk to your doctor, you know, because it's just always good to always talk to your doctor, you guys, because a lot of us suffer from dual diagnoses. Some of us have addiction and mental illness. Okay, so always check with your doctor. All right, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just trying to share with you guys what I've learned about myself and my addiction and what I've learned from my sponsor. But all this stuff is 100% truth. Like, I have had experiences with relapse over and over and over and over. I've probably relapsed 999,995 times. Okay? I've relapsed so many times that it's like, it got to be like, oh, hey, Nicole, you're back. You know, like the people in the meetings would be like, oh, hey, that's just Nicole. She's a normal here. She comes all the time. She's just, they would, and they always welcomed me, but I made excuses. I made excuses for a long time, you guys. Okay, I've struggled with depression. Sometimes I don't want to get out of the bed. Even today in my sobriety, sometimes I don't want to get out of the bed. But I gotta stop making excuses, you know? I gotta get out of the bed. I can't just lay in the bed and wallow in my depression. You know, I've got to do this. I have a son that looks up to me. I have a son that needs me for his life, right? That's my motivation. So, but I'm going to tell you guys, for a long time, I made excuses for my behaviors. I would blame everybody else but myself for the things that were going on in my life. You know, especially when I would get into trouble. You know, I remember after I started shooting up ketamine, 6 months after I started shooting up, I was in trouble with the law. I had gotten a felony of possession of a controlled substance. And I remember blaming the girls who ratted on me, the girls who narked on me, the girls who set me up, the confidential informants. If I hadn't have been riding meth cook with dope in my car and staying up shooting all night, I wouldn't have gotten a felony. I wouldn't have been in that position. Hey, Jessica. I made excuses for my behavior for a long time because I didn't want to face the facts that I was fucking up my life. Right? And self-pity would take over and I would feel sorry for myself. You know, I was terminally unique. Oh, you guys just don't understand. My life is so hard though. If you lived my life, you would be drunk and high too. everybody has a hard life. Everybody. I would seriously say probably everybody in the world has depression, suffers with some kind of depression or anxiety, or everyone. But not everybody uses drugs and alcohol to cope with their anxiety and depression, right? Everybody has something that they're going through, and I'm not unique. And for the longest time, I thought that I was. And that you don't know how bad it is. If you had it as bad as me, you'd be this way too attitude. I kept relapsing because of that. Because I had to learn that you guys, I am not any different than anybody else. And I was making bad choices, right? Yes, I was in an active addiction, and once the disease takes hold and hijacks my brain, but what I'm saying is, like, all those times I had a chance to get sober, all those times I had a chance to go to a meeting and, be with people who were trying to help me, I would use this, like, defense, this excuse to not take their suggestions, because I still had this pride and this ego that was blocking me off from taking their suggestions, from listening to what they were saying, right? Let's see. Hold on, Tasha. I'm trying to see what you said. I was just diagnosed with legit mental health illness, PTSD, severe anxiety, panic disorder, and bipolar, and it's hard for me to accept. Oh, baby girl, it's okay. We are all, listen to me. It's okay though. But you know what? That's the great thing about recovery, is that acceptance. Let me read something to you. Okay? Let me read something to you. This is going to help you, Tasha. Oh, girl, I'm so happy that you're here. Okay. So, here's this. This is for you, Tasha. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life, unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. So, that diagnosis that you got, all this is for a greater purpose, honey. These are all things that this is right where you're supposed to be. Right now, in this moment, here with us, is where you're supposed to be, okay? That mental illness that you just got diagnosed with is going to be your greatest asset. It is going to be what you take and turn around, so that way you can help other people who are struggling with the same thing. Believe that. Because I used to be the same way. I used to be hopeless. I used to not even think there was a chance for me. I felt insecure. I felt like I didn't fit in. I had fucked up my life. And I took all that adversity and I'm turning it around. And I'm using it to help other people. So what you think might be a bad thing, what you see as a setback or as a handicap, it really isn't. It's just something that's going to help you to be even stronger. Believe that. I know, because it's happened to me. I'm not just sitting over here telling you guys this stuff because I'm making it up. I am telling you this because it's the truth. Because I've been through that. Okay, bye, Katie. Love you. I've been through it. And I know what it feels like. And so that's why I love doing this stuff with you guys, because it helps me, one. And because, like, I have an example for every situation, because I've been through a lot of stuff, you guys, and I'm telling you, a lot of the things that I went through were self-inflicted. I could have gotten sober probably 12 years ago, you guys, but I just wouldn't give it a chance. I wouldn't take suggestions. And I know, like, a lot of people say, well, you just weren't ready then, right? But I think what was wrong with me is that I was just so blinded by my pride, right? And my pride kept me blocked from help, you guys. Once that pride got smashed and I got so desperate, I was at the bottom. I'm going to tell you something right now. Being at the bottom saved my life. Because I had to be at the bottom to reach out for help. Because until I hit bottom, I didn't think I had a problem. Until I hit bottom, I was still making excuses for myself, right? And so now that when I hit bottom and my son got taken, that was a wake-up call for me. And it made me realize, like, girl, you're getting your kids taken away from you. Whoa. This is, for me, that was my biggest failure, right? Like, I had this child who relied on me, and I'm getting my child taken away. That, to me, that was like the end. That was the worst I could ever be, you know? And so I could have tucked my tail under my hiney and went and ran off and cried about how bad my life is and how you'd get high too if your son had gotten taken away. But something was different this time. And I grabbed hold and I locked my hands tight and I said, fuck this. I'm not going to let my kid get taken from me. I'm going to fight back for my life. You know? And that's all I can, that's the only way I can explain it to you is that I quit making excuses for myself. I mean, it's easy to fall into that pattern, you guys. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad or hurt your feelings. But sometimes, I'm telling you the truth, sometimes it has to be told like it is. And so, if you are teeter-tottering back and forth on the, I want to get clean, but it's just so hard. Or I want to get sober, but nobody understands what I'm going through. I'm here to tell you that you're not any different than me. You're not special. You know, you can do this and stop making excuses. Get on this train and let's ride. I'm telling you, because if you don't, there's only a couple places you're going to go. But the way things have been going around this nowadays, 2019, you're going to die. You're going to die. You know, back when I was getting high, people weren't dropping dead. I mean, they just started dropping dead. But not like they are now. I mean, it is crazy, you know? But it was still serious then, you guys. It's your life. You're gambling your life, right? I truly believe what happens for all of us is that we have to realize that we deserve to be sober. We deserve to have a good life, right? That life that we were living before, that's not for us, right? We've moved past that, right? Does that mean that I'll never go back and try to, you know, witness to other people? That's why I have my channel. That's what I do here on my channel, right? That's right, class in session. That's what I do here on my channel is I try to share with you guys, right? But I had to leave that life behind. I'm progressing on past that, right? That was my old ways. That life was the dumbing me down life. That life was the Nicole that didn't have no sense, right? That was the Nicole that didn't have any self-respect. That was the Nicole that didn't love herself. That was the Nicole that didn't care, right? Yeah, I bet. Oh, gosh. I'm so glad, you guys, that the only experience that I've ever had with fentanyl was enough to knock my ass out. So I hadn't, when I was getting high, it was strictly, Roxy, intravenous Roxy's. 100%. So let's backtrack a little bit. So relapse. Okay. Relapse does not have to be a part of your recovery, but for some people it happens, okay? But I don't want it to happen for anybody. I want people to get sober and to stay sober and to never look back, right? But that might be a little bit, maybe I'm thinking too grandiose, right? So it happens sometimes, but I'm telling you, you can spot the behaviors in yourself. So let's talk about it. Relapse happens in the mind, okay? One of the first things that I always notice if I'm pulling back. So number one, isolation. Okay? Write it down, write it down, write it down. Okay? Okay? Music, girls, hotels can be triggers. Exactly. Right. So you know your triggers and you identify them, okay? So that's what you do. You identify your triggers, okay? And so that way you know, okay, I'm not going to be listening to this music, because I know when I listen to this music, it makes me think about old times getting high. Or I know that I don't need to be sleeping with all the women at the meetings, because then what's going to happen? I'm going to relapse. You guys, the fast ticket to go and back out is to hook up with a girl in AA, NA, or wherever, early recovery, or a guy. I'm telling you right now, 2 sickies don't equal a welly. Okay? If you are just getting sober and you don't love yourself, you're just getting to a point where you can say, you know what, I do need help. Do not get in a relationship. Do not do it. Do not do it. The hardest thing for me in my recovery is my relationship with my husband. You know, we're both in recovery. We've been together for 8 years, long before we ever got sober. So it's kind of, but I'm telling you guys, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. Okay? It's a lot of work.
Mommy,
so.
look at my house.
Oh, that's good. Good job.
And there's a little butt.
I see it. So, if a relapse is happening in our mind, one of the first things I notice for me is I start isolating, okay? And so I see you guys are talking about triggers. So, triggers, okay? And what I'll notice with my triggers is that I'll start slipping and letting those things slide. So, like, I know that certain rap music makes me think about getting fucked up, right? So, I know that I don't need to listen to that rap music. But when I'm slipping and I'm kind of going back into that relapse mode, I'll start listening to rap music again, certain kind. That's how easy it is, you guys, to let yourself slip back and just, I know you might think it's crazy, but just be aware. Be aware, okay? I'm serious. The best thing you can do is be aware of your behaviors, okay? Or I'll start letting people that I used to hang out with when I was getting high come back around. Now, those people are out of my life, right? But do you guys remember about over, help her move her apartment, blah, 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 blah? And I was contemplating going over there to help her move her house. Thank you, God, I didn't go over there. That was me slipping back into old behavior, because I know I cannot go around her. It doesn't matter. I've forgiven her. We've made amends. I love her to death. But when I go around her, I think about using. I think about the things we used to do. Do you remember yesterday when we were reading Bill's story and Bill was talking about Ebby coming to see him and Ebby was sober and Bill was like, I don't care if he's sober. I'm getting drunk. Okay, so if Bill W. was thinking like that when his friend came over that was sober that he hadn't seen in years, think about how our friends are. They don't care that we're sober. They don't care. They're going to use, right? Hey, that's what's up. Deep in the streets, that's what's up. Stay over here, man. I'm spitting facts over here, baby. Y'all are getting me excited. This is what happens, you guys. It happens to me every time. And did I relapse? No, I didn't relapse, because I came over here, I talked about it, I told on my disease. That's what I did. I didn't keep it a secret, because that's the next thing. Secrets. letting yourself think you're getting away with something, giving yourself permission to keep it a secret. Maybe, for instance, example, 2 years ago, me and my little boy were at the grocery store. I think I had like a year sober. Maybe a little bit less than that because I'm about to hit 4. So it was like maybe something like that. Anyways, I had about a year sober. Me and my son went to the grocery store and I got a drink. And I popped it open and I was drinking it. Kombucha. I thought, this is great. It's going to give me energy.
What?
The kombucha starts going down my throat and I feel the warmth in my stomach. Just like alcohol. And I freaked out. Right then, I could have kept drinking the kombucha. Although all it is fermented fruit or something. But it's got alcohol in it. It's a percentage of alcohol. And I could feel it, you guys. So I called my sponsor. And I said, I just drank kombucha. Am I okay? Did I relapse? So she's like, no, you didn't relapse. But be careful. Because that can set me off. I'm an alcoholic, you guys. And when that alcohol touched my system, I could feel it in the bottom of my stomach. It was so warm, right? And so instead of keeping that a secret, I told on myself, all right? Telling on your disease is so important.
You can't keep something.
Do not let anybody...
You can't keep something that's a secret that is important.
You cannot keep things that are a secret because that's important, right, Nate? So when we keep secrets, it's like allowing our brain, giving our brains permission, okay? And we think, it's crazy, you guys. The mental part of it is it's so crazy. Because we think, you know what? It might not even seem like it's that big of a deal, but I'm telling you, these are the things that are working up to a relapse, okay? Thinking about wanting to drink or wanting to use and not telling anybody, okay? Don't keep that to yourself. If you're feeling like drinking or getting high, tell someone else about it. Talk about it. Process through that. Don't be ashamed. It's normal to have those feelings. You're a drug addict. You're an alcoholic. That's what we do. Think about drinking and getting high. Do not keep it a secret. Let someone else know. Okay? Building accountability also. And accountability is so important in recovery. I'm telling you guys. Please, please, please listen to me. I wouldn't lead you astray. I promise. Or the dreams. Yes, Sonia. If you're having using dreams, tell somebody about it. Talk about it. I want you to know it happens. It's normal. We all go through it. One time I woke up from a drug dream, you guys, and it was an intense drug dream. And I woke up and I had to look at my arms and see if I had, because it felt like I did. That's how intense this dream was. You know, but I'm telling you, when I start having dreams like that, especially now, because I have been removed from drugs and alcohol for almost 4 years, when I'm starting to dream about drugs, I take that as an automatic warning sign, right? That there's something going on inside of me. Because I've been removed from drugs and alcohol for long enough, I feel like that when I start dreaming about them, that I'm having a problem. Maybe I'm just stressed out. Maybe I'm not feeling good. Maybe I'm having difficulties at work, you know. But I'm telling you guys, these are cues. These are warning signs. These are things that you can identify, and you can see these, and you can say, okay, I don't want to go. I don't want to go down that road, right? Yes, stress can back to our drugs of choice, you guys. Because what happens is we crave relief, okay? That's what drugs and alcohol gave us, right? Was relief. Temporary, but we got relief from it. And then what happens is we're getting relief, but then on top of the relief, we're compounding problems, right? We're cheating on our husbands. We're wrecking our cars. We're robbing folks. I mean, we get a little bit of relief, and then we get a bunch of stress and a bunch of chaos and a bunch of drama, right? Yes, Sonia. And if you can find gratitude in a situation like that, that's a good thing to do, girl, because sometimes it can be scary. It can be scary. So sometimes if you can just find things to be grateful for, just the smallest thing, like I woke up today and I feel good. I'm grateful for that. Or I'm going to do a video today and I know what I want to talk about. I feel good about that today. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I can put together sentences today. Because there was a time where I was brain dead. I was in a coma, right? I mean, I'm able to sit here and talk to you guys. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. So we got isolation triggers, secrets, permission statements. We got the dreams. Okay, what are some other warning signs, right? What are some other warning signs of relapse? Not doing drugs. Good job, son. He's learning early, y'all. He's learning early. My boy is going to be so smart, and he knows. He knows that drugs, they will take you down through there. Okay, for me, I'll tell you another warning sign is when I'm starting to feel insecure about my weight. Because for me as a woman, so I'm going to put insecurity. For me as a woman, that insecurity about my weight leads to the idea or the thought of taking stimulants to lose that weight, right? Good job. Not taking care, self-care, not practicing our self-care. Okay, and then what happens is we fall back into that, like, where we're just like, bleh, right? And then when we get like, bleh, then we want to reach for something to make us feel like, yay, right? Okay, so let's go. We're going to go back a little bit so that way I can catch everybody up. I just want y'all to be here with me. So relapse happens in our minds. It can happen weeks, months before you ever pick up the drink or the drug. Okay? The process of the disease goes like this. Trigger, thought. Then you start thinking. Then you start obsessing over that drug. Okay? You're obsessing to the point where you're planning out your relapse. And then you go and you use. Then once you use, that sets off the phenomenon of craving. And once that craving happens, you go on a spree. Right? And that spree can last 3 days, 6 months, a year. I've been on some benders before. And then after that spree, I am beating myself up. I'm ashamed. I'm full of guilt. I'm embarrassed, right? And if I don't reach out for help then, if I don't say, hey, I relapsed, I need help, I got to get back on track, then that vicious cycle will start all over again. And I will go right back through it. Trigger, thought, obsession, use, craving, spree. And I will go and keep on going through it until I die, right? And so I don't ever want anyone to feel like I am like, oh, you can't relapse, or you should be ashamed of yourself. But if you relapse, the best thing to do is to say, I relapsed, and to come right back. Do not waste any time back in that relapse. Do not stay out there on the drinks and the drugs. Because I'm telling you, the longer you stay out, the harder it is to come back in. I know from experience. If you relapse, pick yourself up and come right back. Because what happens is, if you stay back in there, you stay back in that relapse, right? You stay playing with the idea that you can control your drinking and your drugging. Oh, I got this. I can control it. Everything's going to be all right. I promise you guys. I promise you. I promise you you'll wake up in 6 months and you'll go, where did the time go? How did I end up like this? What happened? What went wrong? Right? Fuck the bullshit. If you relapse, get back and come back right away. Come back, admit it, and get back on track. Come back, Call somebody. Come over here. Hey, Nicole, I relapsed. Okay, well, let's get back on track. Step one, we're admitting we are powerless over drugs and alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable, right? Sometimes, you guys, we need a reminder that we are powerless over drugs and alcohol, and that when we take them into our bodies, we do not know what's going to happen next. When we take drugs and alcohol into our body, everything is going to go to shit. And we cannot, I'm telling you guys, like, please believe me. I'm telling you this because I've done it and because I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to have to go through that. I don't want you guys to be I don't want you to have to be like I did. Okay? When I relapsed last time, it was the bottom of the bottom because I kept fighting it because I thought I could handle it. And I lost my girls. In God's grace, I got them back. But there won't be no more chances for me. That's what I remind myself. If I use it, I'll die. Exactly. You guys, am I saying that we're never going to fall back? We're never going to relapse. We're never going to have hard times. No, I'm not saying that because I don't know the future, right? But I do know that if you are honest with yourself and you are transparent and you say, I've been thinking about using, or I need help, or I don't know how to stay sober. Can someone please help me? Someone guide me, right? I know that if you'll do these things, that people will help and guide you. And I know that if you will reach out for help, you will have people that will rally around you, right? And they will help you stay sober. You know, that's what's happened for me. I'm telling you, like, I would get sober, you guys, and I would stay sober for 30 days, maybe even 3 months, right? Maybe even 3 months. And what would happen is I would get comfortable in my sobriety. This is exactly what would happen. And I would start out and I would do everything they told me to. I would go to my meetings. I would call my sponsor. I would do everything. I would be my big book. I would be on it. And then I would get comfortable. And slowly but surely, the things that I did practice every day to stay sober, slowly but surely, those things would fall to the wayside. That's one of the first signs, okay, is the things that you did to stay sober in the beginning, you stop doing them, okay? So if you got sober by going to meetings and talking with others and working the 12 steps and practicing your big book or whatever you did, and then you got a little bit of time, 6 months, a year, 3 months, whatever, and you stop going to meetings or you stop doing those things, that's one of the first warning signs, I'm telling you, that you're falling back. Because then you're giving yourself permission. You're saying, well, I don't have time for that, right? I don't have time to go to those meetings anymore. Or I don't have time to come over here and hang out with Nicole for an hour and talk about recovery, you know? Or I don't have time to call my sponsor. I don't have time to call Nicole. I don't have time to text Nicole. I don't have time to text so-and-so. Like, I'm just too busy. I've got this job, right? I'm telling you guys, like, I have let jobs take priority over my recovery, and I relapsed every time. Every time. I had to get focused, and I feel like my mind won't let me focus. I need an accountability partner. You know, and that's the thing, Tasha. You're not alone, girl. And you know what? That's what you do. You get yourself an accountability partner. You get somebody that, you know, you text or talk to I like to talk to people. I like to have people call me and hear their voice, right? But here's the thing, you guys. Like, I call people that I'm accountable to them, right? And I check in with these people every day, right? Maybe I skip a day, but for the most part, I talk to people every day. Unless I'm having a hard time. And most of the time when I'm having a hard time, I'm on here talking to y'all. So I'm talking to somebody. But I have people that I check in with, right? But that's the thing, you guys. These people aren't going to chase me down. They're not going to work my recovery for me. And that's one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with is you're going to have to call the person. You're going to have to reach out to them and say, hey, you know, Will you help me? Will you let me be accountable to you? And I need to call you every day and check in with you. I need to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're wanting to do 12 steps, then you need to get to a meeting and sit there and go to a couple of those meetings and hear what they're saying and find a person, a woman or a man, whatever sex you are, that you can relate to, that you see that they have something that you want. You see recovery in them, and that's what you want. You know what I mean? There's Celebrate Recovery too. They do 12 steps that Celebrate Recovery, and that's through the church. And they have sponsors there too, you guys. Same 12 steps though, you know. And here's the thing, I think what happens for a lot of us, you guys, is we get complacent and we settle. Stop settling. Stop settling. Go out and get your recovery. Go out and get yourself a support system. Go out and get yourself a sponsor, an accountability partner, right? If you do that, I promise you, it's going to change your life. Okay? Change your life. I have girls that have a little support system, the girls over from Patreon, and there's like, 7 of us? 7 plus me, that's 8. And I'm telling you, like, I know that this has changed their life. I know them having support has been huge for them because they went from having no support to having support. And that's important, you guys. Sometimes, you know, people's circumstances are different and they, you know, maybe they don't have a comfortable doing AA, or maybe they don't want to go to meetings or anything. There's so many different ways to get support now in recovery. There's so many different ways. There's recovery coaching. You guys, there's all kinds of different ways. If you want sobriety, you can do this. You can get it. But that's the thing, like, it was really hard for me. Like, I had to stop making excuses for myself, and I'm not throwing any shade at anybody, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel insecure or, you know, ashamed or bad about themselves. Like, that's what I was doing. I was making excuses for a really long time. You know, and I just don't want you guys to fall into the same behaviors. So, anyway, I feel like we did really good tonight. I felt like we got some good information here. So, we got the disease concept, relapse, happens in the mind, months before, and then we got isolation, triggers, secrets, permission, dreams, insecurity, and not practicing self-care as all warning signs before a relapse. Oh, and what is it? What did I just say? I said complacency, getting complacent, right? Not doing the things that I've always done to stay sober. So these are all warning signs, you guys, to look for. If you're struggling, if you notice yourself pulling back, say, hey, you know what? Nicole was right. I know that these are warning signs. These are going to these are before a relapse, right? So I need to get with my crew. I need to get with my tribe and connect because I don't want to relapse. You know, I don't want to lose everything I've worked so hard for. You know, and if you're somebody that's struggling with constantly relapsing, that's what I want to do. I want to challenge you to do differently than what you've always done. Because that's what you got to do. You got to make a change. Obviously, the things that you're doing are not working. So it's time to do something different, you know? Okay. So anyway, I love talking with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this little live stream about relapse. I just got inspired because I saw someone else that had been struggling, and, you know, I wanted to talk about it because, like I said, for so long, you guys, I made excuses. There's no excuse to go out and get high, y'all. There's no excuse. Okay? I have had friends die, and I didn't go out and get high because I don't have to do that today. I have coping skills. I can cope with deaths today. You're welcome, girl, anytime. Okay? But these are things that, you know, I used to would have gotten high over. I used to would have used my friend's death as a reason to get high, right? But I don't have to do that today. And you don't have to either. Don't be a victim of your circumstances. All right? Instead, grab a hold of the horns and you guide the horse. Or you're directing, okay? You're driving the bus. You don't have to be a victim of what happens in your life anymore. Okay? If something bad happens, if you lose your job, if one of your friends die, if your parents die, if you fall into a deep depression, all these things you do not have to be a victim of. You do not have to pick up and use. Okay? I'm telling you, fight this. Fight it with all your might. Because if we keep relapsing and we keep making bad choices, I'm telling you guys, one day it's going to be our last. And we're not going to make it back. You know, I don't want to hear about that. I don't want my people to I don't want no one to die. Right? But that's
yes,
how...
you do.
That's how serious it is, you guys. Right. Absolutely, Tasha. And that page that I read to you is page 417 in the big blue book. And it talks all about acceptance, and that whole chapter is about acceptance. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. Acceptance. God, like, right now is where you're supposed to be, okay? And if you're in active addiction and you're in this chat right now, it's where you're supposed to be, because the message is what you need to be hearing. Don't focus so much on the messenger, me. Focus on the message, right? We all have our differences, opinions. Some people don't like people. Some people like somebody. Blah, 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 blah. Listen to the message, right? I'm bringing you guys some truth here, all right? And I'm telling you, yes, it's in the big blue book, page 417. If you guys will just stick with me, I promise you I'll help you with anything I can. And all you got to do is reach out to me. All you got to do is send me a text message or an email. Half of y'all got my phone number. Just email me. If you don't have it, I'll give it to you. I will do anything I can to help you guys, okay? All right. So, I love you guys, and I will see you guys. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll probably be on tomorrow. I'll let you guys know ahead of time, though, on the community tab. So, look out for, little messages on the community tab. I dropped some little goodies over there for y'all earlier, so go check that out. And I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a great night.